What's up, witches? It's Luna the Zen Witch with a little vlogish video here. I decided to do several bite-sized videos about Samhain, which is coming up on the next Saturday within a week. So this is 2020, Samhain 2020. It's a big one. It's a big one. So I wanted to bring you several smallish chunks about generally what Samhain is about, how I practice it, and some things that you can do to celebrate. So let's start with just talking about what Samhain is in the context of the Wheel of the Year. Pagans look at the wheel as a big circle, which it is, and the seasons go round and round and round. But there are places on that wheel that are much more focalized and important than others. And Samhain is at a peak. Samhain, the axis of Samhain and Beltane, are the two peak poles of the year energetically. Let's look at why that is. This is a life cycle. The Wheel of the Year is the life cycle of everything on planet Earth according to those seasons. So it's the solar cycle of growth, of birth, growth, death, rest, rebirth, that whole cycle. Samhain and Beltane are starkly the life and death poles of this. And astrologically, just as a little aside, each season starts with a cardinal sign. In the middle of the season is a fixed sign, and at the end of the season is a mutable sign, which is changing. The fixed sign at the center is where the quarters happen, where we have Beltane and Lammas and Samhain and Imbolc. So these are the peak of the seasons when those seasons' characteristics are in full swing, are fully available to us. Those energies are fully available. So at the Beltane peak, we have life. At the Samhain peak, we have death. Being that it's a circle, it's not life on one end, death on the other end. They join, that circle joins up. So every part of the circle contains every other part of the circle. It's like the yin-yang. Each part of it contains its opposite to varying degrees. At Beltane, we have death in life. At Samhain, we have life in death. So we're at the death part of the year. Look out. Look outside. That glorious color is because something's dying. The leaves are dying. They can no longer sustain their growth with the amount of light that they're getting, with the temperature that they're in. This is, of course, if you live in a temperate zone, which, you got to consider a place that has seasons when you're looking at the Wheel of the Year, because if you live in like Florida or down by the equator, it's an entirely different structure. We don't have those seasons. So I would be really interested in hearing some pagans that live in places without seasons and how you experience those stages in the wheel. So you look outside, there's death all around us. You watch the corn drying up if it's still standing in the fields before it's harvested. The field corn, the sweet corn gets harvested before it's all dried. And we're surrounded by death. The light is waning. Now the nights are longer than the days. Oh, my fireplace just got some new wood put on it. So we are experiencing death all around us. And isn't it interesting, it's just some thoughts I've been having recently, that when we hit the equinox and the light starts to really wane, suddenly the light from the woods gets much brighter because everything's turning yellow. And in the summer, I've got this green cast of the light from my woods. Now in the fall, I'm getting this brighter yellow cast. So while the light is decreasing in the sky, the light coming from the woods is increasing as the leaves are dying. It's crazy. There are so many ways that you can look at the life and death energy and experience it and see it this way. So start thinking, first of all, at when I'm looking at death, how is there life there as well? Here's one way. As the corn is harvested from the fields, as it's drying out and the plant is dying, It's the birth of the seed. And I was thinking about this in the shower. I do a lot of channeling in the shower. Being an empath, having a Pisces moon and a Scorpio rising and a lot of water in my chart, I get downloads when I'm dealing with water. And one of the things I was thinking about is the birth and death like this together, and how the death of the plant, or let's see, how did I do it? The death of the seed is the birth of the plant, right? The root and the shoot. The death of the plant is the birth of the fruit. Think about plants where, once they get to fruiting, the plant dies off. The death of the fruit is the birth of the seed. The death of the seed is the birth of the plant. So it just keeps going and going and going and going. So looking at the fallow fields and knowing that, we're harvesting grain, and what we're going to be left with is the promise of the spring. There's the life in death. Is as we harvest, as we see what we've got to get through the winter on, we also know that this seed we're holding in our hands is the promise of spring. So it can be argued that Samhain is the more critical end of this pole. Beltane, life is springing around us and we're full of hope. What's the season going to bring? We get the seeds in the ground, and there's the death in life. We've got this seed, we're going to put these seeds in the ground, and what we're holding in our hand, it represents the death that happened in Samhain when the grain was cut down. So death goes into the ground, burial like a funeral, and guess what? New life springs. So it could be argued that Samhain is the more critical end, because that's the one that lets us know, are we going to survive the winter? That's when we're really facing death. We're facing the darkness. We're facing the cold. We're facing our fears of lack. So, death is staring us in the face. If it's been a shitty harvest, we are confronted with the question of whether we will survive the winter or not. We know at Beltane, when we put seeds in the ground, if there's not a lot of seed, we know that there's going to be a lot of other things coming to life around that we can gather in as well. But with Samhain, once that harvest is accomplished, we know that that's all there is. Hey. Pyewacket is going ham on my sketch pad. It's annoying. So it really is a critical pole of the year. And because this is the death aspect of the year, this is what brings in the thinning of the veil and our ancestors coming close, and our cultural celebration of Samhain as looking at spirits and ghosts and things. And the reason the veil is thin is because death is all around us. Death comes like this, right around us, right in our faces. So the associations of Samhain with the ancestors and celebrating the ancestors is one of the things that kind of inspires our celebrations. The veil being thin means that we come close to coping with the idea of our own mortality. This is the big scary of Samhain. Why is it so scary looking at did we have a good harvest or not? Because it talks about our own mortality. Will we make it through? So the pith of Samhain, as far as your personal practice of the craft, your personal practice of paganism, is about coming to terms with the fact of your own mortality. 2 Samhains ago, I really embraced my croning, my aging. And this means, the last part of my life here, the last fifth of my life possibly, is about what is the mark that I want to make. I am very aware that this is the last section of my life. This is my last chance to make a mark, to make an impact. And it's one of the reasons I'm doing this channel, is because I have a legacy, and whatever gifts of the mind I've been given, I want to give them to the world. I'm not going to die with them unexpressed. I'm not going to die without offering my gifts, such as they are, to anyone that is open to receiving them. And that is because I'm aware of my death. That is because I walked both of my parents to the bridge and to the gate and witnessed their crossing. And knowing how their lives went and the opportunities they had and the choices they made, I am determined to make the best choices I can make. I was tempted to say better choices, but I can't compare myself to them. They did their best. They did the best with what they had. So I am determined to do the best with what I have too. So allow this Samhain season to take you to that questioning place of what am I going to be thinking at the end of my life? What will I be thinking when it's my time to cross? Or looking back on my life, did I do what I came here to do? Am I satisfied with my efforts? Is there something I've left undone? So this is why Samhain is really deep and critical for a lot of people, and it can be a highly emotional celebration. The other thing we do at Samhain is just to honor the people that have passed over the last year or over the last years, our ancestors that are in spirit, but in particular the ones that have crossed over in the previous year. So there are practices around that as well. I'm going to close this video now and do some more snack size videos on different ways that you can celebrate Samhain, different practices that you can do. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe to my channel and please like this video if you did, because that makes it visible to more people and that really does help me out. I appreciate it. If you want to join my Patreon or my Discord, please click down below as well. I hope I will see you tomorrow for another unboxing and much more content to come. Stay safe. See you tomorrow. This is the Zen Witch. Blessed be.